Hello, Meoni here. Welcome back to another video. This time some news that there's new optional items and a new winter sale on the Final Fantasy XIV online store. Specifically, there is some extra info that there are 3 pieces of outfit, there are 3 hairstyles and 3 emotes that you can purchase individually. We'll get to that in a second, but they are for a limited time. So they come on sale today, the 16th of December, and last until the 6th of June 2026. So you have until the 6th of June next year to actually purchase these if you want them, and then they are gone for an undisclosed amount of time in the future. They say collaboration items may become available to purchase again at a later date. So this is a collaboration through the store with Fantasian, specifically Neo Dimension, which is a fantastic game. If you want to get these items, then we need to go over to the online store. There is also a sale running on the store from today until January the 9th on a specific sets of items, Fantasias and the like. So as we go on here, if you look at the sale very quickly on, boosts, basically job boosts, as well as story skips, Fantasias, that kind of thing. So if you're wanting to pick up some bits and pieces, perhaps you want some Heaven's Turn items, there is quite a lot on here. I'll let you browse this at your own leisure, but there is a sale on until the 9th of January. The new items then, as we said, there are 3 outfits. These are themed around that of Neo Dimension, Fantasian, and of course they all have the same price associated with them. There are 3 emotes also from Neo Dimension, Fantasian, and also 3 hairstyles. All of these items can be purchased separately, and of course you can make a basket of all of the items if you want to. But yes, just as a reiteration then, so in my currency, that's £11.16 for an outfit, £1.20 each for an emote, and £3.60 for each of the hairs. In US dollars, which is primarily my audience, $18 US for the 5-piece outfits individually, $2 for each of the emotes, and $5 US for each of the hairstyles. Let's go into the game and look at all of these with the usual die previews. This will take me a while, so forgive the length of the video. Alright, we're in the game, and as you can see, I've purchased all 3 of the hairstyles to look at, and we also have the 5-piece sets for all of the sets, all 3 sets. And you'll notice that 2 of the sets, namely the Realm Roamers and End Fortune Tellers, have an earring instead of a helm slot, but aside from that, they contain a jacket, gloves, legs and feet for all of them, with the only difference being the Vibran Princess's gear has a tiara instead of an earring. We also have the 3 emotes, Light Beyond Light, Consecrated Emotions, and Joy Beyond Joy. Alright, the Realm Roamers then, as you can see, we have some very special looking feet on this set. I especially like those. They're definitely something I didn't expect, and I'm glad that they made it over from Neo Dimension Fantasian. They are quite unique. I do think a lot of people will probably go crazy for those feet specifically. The jacket is kind of nice. It's got some cool options, and the gloves are asymmetric with a gauntlet on one side on the right. This is a close-up then of the Realm Roamers earrings, which, as you can see, are earrings. They are not earrings, so they are pluralized this time around, which seems to be fairly rare, which has this nice brass sort of sets of baubles and then a symbol embroidered onto a crystal there. The chest piece at the back there, the tail sort of clips out of the opening where it splits apart, and I have to say the texture quality is quite nice on this set. I do like the brass inlay there. And you'll see later in the timestamps, if you go to the die options for this, it does look quite nice. All of the sets look really good. I quite like the buckles on there specifically. And a nice little close-up on that gauntlet then on the right-hand side with symbolism everywhere. Very cool stuff. And if you were curious about those feet, there's a nice close-up for you as well. Those really big heels at the back there. They're quite interesting, aren't they? It reminds me slightly of the Garrow gear, in a weird sort of way. I think I like the plate front of them. I don't know, everything just looks so much higher quality, doesn't it? Texture quality than some of the gear sets we have in the game. And of course, you know, no roll restrictions on this gear. Not that that would be an issue anyway with the 7.4 update, but I think they look really nice. I love those shin guards as well. Really, really cool. I can see myself using these in quite a few sets. Then is the Fortune Teller's Attire, which is definitely one of my favorite looking outfits in the game by a long shot. I love this top actually, with the sort of details on the arms, on the upper arms there. I really like the tights on this as well. Look at those with the sort of flower motif. Very, very cool. And of course at the top we've got a choker with that symbol on it. Very nice stuff. And the wristbands are those neon green to go with on the chest piece there on the vial. And the earrings are slightly different than the Realm Roamers, as you can see on the Fortune Teller's set. They don't have a symbol on them, but they're like a little green crystal attached by a silver chain or set of baubles. But yeah, I absolutely love this chest piece. The detail on this looks so good in our game. Like, it really is popping there, isn't it? All that extra detail. Beautiful set. Absolutely beautiful. The Fortune Teller's legs then on their own, as you can see. So we've got this kind of like little mini skirt where your tail clips through the back of. There doesn't seem to be a fold where that comes through. And as you can see, we've got that kind of upper leg strap there, that buckle. And then you've got these kind of semi-tights here with the flowers on them. Very simple skirt though at the top. Very, very simple. But because it's hugging the figure of your character, it has a good chance to work with some of the tops that traditionally don't allow for skirts to be displayed if they kind of pop out. So there's a good chance that could work. I need to test that. Potentially the weakest part of the Fortune Teller's attire is probably the boots, unless you really don't like laces. They're slip-on sort of little boots with a little bit of a heel on the back there with some brass sort of detail. The leather looks really cool, but we do have quite a lot of boots that look better than this in my opinion. But if you want something simple with very little detail, this could probably go quite well with whatever you're matching to. And then there's the top on its own as well, which looks pretty nice. I think you'll agree. We've got a kind of robe leading down with a front sort of section. So if you did have a nice detailed skirt to go with this, mixing and matching, it could probably look quite good. I'm telling you now, though, the Dawntrail skirt will definitely not work with this because of how far down the fabric goes beyond the waist. But I do like the little details on this, like the flower details, which I especially like. I quite like that detail. Very nice stuff indeed. And then finally, for these three sets, this is the Vibran Princess's Attire. And I have to say, this is the one I looked forward to the most when I saw the original announcement on the live letter. The striking blue with a white sort of frilly skirt attached to the robe. I think that looks absolutely exceptional. We've got a nice little tiara there as well. There's a nice close-up of that tiara as well with the blue gemstones looking pretty great. We've got a few tiaras in the game, but honestly, this one is a welcome addition. A lot of them seem to clip quite heavily with my hair, worse than it is here. This is the simple and clean hairstyle from the previous patch cycle, but I think it looks quite good, honestly. And then, of course, we've got those beautiful robe details with a front ribbon, the gemstone, the frilled edge around the sort of collar, those brass elements down the bust towards the belt with more ribbons coming off the side. And that's where it sort of splits into two different pieces of fabric. And as is usual custom, here is just the dress on its own there. As you can see with the stance that my Mikote is leaning to one side with the idle animation, her hand is clipping through. Of course, you can fix that with other idle poses. But yeah, you'll see that the dress has the skirt attached to that there with these large, thrilly sort of almost petals coming down. Looks really cool, or at least it does in my opinion. But the gloves then, probably one of the weakest parts of this, something I would probably replace if anything. The robe is definitely the thing that attracts me the most to that set. The gloves, kind of generic, although they've got some quite nice upturned cuffs, which, you know, might be quite difficult to find when you're trying to find something to suit a glamour. And of course, underneath that skirt, not that you can really see, we've got some little hot pants, some short pants, black ones in particular. And we also have this little book satchel thing on the side of our thigh and some nice tights as well, which is something that wasn't immediately obvious when the big frilly skirt as part of the dress was in the way. So that's nice, some nice detail on that as well. So it's not a bad underside and probably a hidden gem most people won't even realize is there. But yeah, the quality of the textures, especially on the leather strap there as well, and the little buckle with the symbol, I really like that. I'll probably end up using the tights for something else at some point. And then, of course, that leaves us with the Vibran Princess's little boots here, which aren't too bad. I quite like the little star on the front of them. I could definitely use these in a variety of different glamour sets. I like the little buckles on the side there. They're quite stylish, actually, aren't they? Little bootlets. And they've even got that little, you know, like the little pull on the back to actually put the shoes on and off. I thought it would be nice to show these side by side before we go into dyes. We're going to do our usual dye previews where we go one direction with one set of dyes and the other direction with the other set of dyes until we meet in the middle with neon colors. I do think these sets really dye quite nicely. The palette options aren't too bad. The left side set there, which is the fortune teller's attire, the bit on the boots that you might not tell what is the second dye palette, it's actually the little buckles on the side which are out of frame of view for this. Unfortunately, that's my bad, but those are the bits that change color for the second palette, and the rest of it should be self-explanatory apart from maybe the right side with the Realm Roamer's attire. There's a tiny little bit of fabric at the back behind the boots that changes color, and that's the second palette on that. But honestly, I was very happy with how these dyed, and I like the extra details. There's a lot of room to play with some of these pieces. I would say though that my favorite out of the three is definitely the Vibran Princess attire. If I was to just simply purchase one of these, it would be that one. I think it looks really good in jet black and carmine red, and obviously pastel pink is going to complement this. I think that the frilly skirt on that set is absolutely gorgeous and has a nice accent. Lots of details on this, very high quality, and personally I do wish that we had had a Fantasian crossover in the game with some quests or something to get these, but at the same time, what a fantastic game, and I'm quite happy that we got sets regardless of how we got them. You know, things are a little bit pricey, so hopefully this video helps you decide of which pieces you would want to pick up, because thankfully it isn't just in one big package and you can choose between the emotes, the outfits individually, and the hairstyles individually. Speaking of hairstyles, okay, so the three hairstyles that you get then. Firstly, we've got the Realms Ruffled. That's what that looks like. It's a short hairstyle for the protagonist of Fantasian Neo Dimension. It looks pretty good. It's a short hairstyle with spikes at the back, which looks pretty cool. The highlights are obviously affecting the spikes and the fringe there. Looking pretty good on my Mikote. It's got this headband that unfortunately doesn't have any toggles. That's something I hope in the future that we get the ability to toggle on and off. We have ourselves the Tale of the Teller, which is one of the female characters from Fantasian, and it looks pretty great actually. I really like the bangs on this one. The fringe is great, and there's this really nice ponytail at the back. It's not the longest hairstyle in the game, but it's certainly one that I will probably end up using. It's really nice. I like the colors on the highlights there on the back of the ponytail itself. That's kind of spiky sort of texture. And of course, there's a little bit of highlights on the front bangs as well. And then the third hairstyle is the Fit for a Princess hairstyle, which is sure to be quite popular. It's got these really nice curled bangs at the front, a lovely fringe swept to the left side of your character's face. And then we've got this headband, which is holding these buns together, which is really quite nice at the back, with these sort of wispy sections coming off, these sort of jewel pigtails with the pink there highlight shown, which looks pretty nice actually. Yeah, I'm quite happy with all three of these personally. That's the reason I picked them up in the first place. If they looked a bit dodgy, I probably wouldn't have picked them up, but that's what those look like. There are no restrictions as far as I can tell in terms of race and gender, so yeah, go wild. So let's talk very briefly about the three emotes. Essentially, they are all the same action, which is your B stance, so your battle stance. If we do /B stance, if you have that one unlocked, you'll see that's the familiar Pictomancer animation, where she holds it up, winks a little bit, and then spurts around some paint. You'll see that the Divine Arm is essentially the exact same emote, just blue with spell effects and sound effects with a glow through the arm of your character. The Divine Disc is exactly the same once again, this time with a pink glow emanating from the chest of your character just at the neck region, but the exact same emote regardless, maybe some extra spell effects with petals. And Divine Tiara is again exactly the same, only this time the glow is pink the petals come off, and it is emanating from your helm. So obviously if you had a tiara, that is the only difference. And if we swap job, then B stance, if you know the B stance for the warrior, that's what that one looks like, where you're charging your blade up. Rah, yeah. And obviously that is changed for Divine Arm, which is a blue version of the exact same emote with a glow and sound effect, and Divine Disc, which is from the chest, and pink once again, and Divine Tiara, which is the same, but the glow is from your helm this time as well. So effectively you're purchasing an emote that is exactly the same as B stance, your battle stance, but has a different glow associated with a different part of your body. So if you wanted to know whether it was worth you purchasing them, that is the difference. So one affects your arm with a glow that's blue, one affects your heart or chest with a pink glow, and sort of spell effects of petals or sakura petals, and Divine Tiara does exactly the same as Divine Disc with the spell effects, but has a helm glow instead. And that's the only difference with those emotes. And here then is something I cobbled together for my Picto with the chest piece from one of the sets there. I do like the individual pieces. I think they're really nice pieces of gear, and they die really, really lovely. And that's why I personally would recommend picking up both of the dress variants, the princess one in this case, and the other dress as well. I think there are various parts of those outfits that are quite nice, although I do quite like the boots from the first set. So there is some good mileage there, and the dye options are exceptional, which is what we want to see. And yeah, let me know if you're going to pick up any of these, and hopefully that helped you decide whether or not it was worth you picking up any of the items, especially with the emotes then, which none of us really knew that were the battle stance, but they are. So just with extra glows and sound effects. Anyway, much love. More videos on the way from patch 7.4. We've got a lot to cover, including more glamour, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.